Mazda.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what got the best rating just now is the new Chevy.
Enclave?
No.
Impala.
Impala.
Really?
And that's a good, that would fit. But it like beat out Honda and all those.
It's amazing, because Chevy was,
Yeah,
like at
at the bottom.
almost right above the U-Dog.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. It was the first time in however many years that a domestic beat out an import.
Hey, Daddy.
You can't get this damn thing to work.
It's cold. It's cold out there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we could go.
Henry Champion,
Present.
Bill Powell.
Commissioner Powell is unable to make today's meeting. He did email me, let me know that. He actually won't be here today or Wednesday.
Mandy Cole,
Here.
Ray Cruz,
Present.
Dave Richard,
Here.
Scott Morris.
I spoke with Commissioner Morris earlier. He will be here as well.
Okay. How do you want to start out first? Financials and staff reports and
Certainly. The Housing Authority for the month of September had a pretty large profit. If you notice, we had a $204,000 profit. Now, that's not to get ahead of ourselves, but that's primarily from two items that really played into effect. One was a reimbursement from our capital fund of about $92,000. The other was a payment from our University of Illinois grant of about $75,000. So those are the bulk of those items. There's still, if you take those two out of the equation, we still had almost an $80,000 profit for the month. So it's still a pretty standard month for the Housing Authority. Still kind of moving along, making money as normal. For our two individual programs, the public housing program had a $232,000 profit for the month and is at $459,000 year to date. The Section 8 program had a $10,000 profit for the month and is kind of still holding at about $120,000 loss year to date. So I think, in our programs, we're still continuing to grow and move forward at the expected pace. We're still on track to have about a $600,000 or $700,000 year-to-date profit.
that's my son. Sorry about that.
Are there any questions on the financial reports?
I had one on, it's like the first page, statement of revenue and expense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe I've asked this before, but under other income, there's a negative amount of like 640 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we budget for a negative amount?
Well, that's something we'll talk about when we get into the financial presentation today. It's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's an accounting anomaly. The accounting system that we have doesn't handle the allocation account, which is our entire central office overhead account, in a normal manner. The way we would budget that normally is to put all of that in one line so that it nets to zero. So you would see a budget line item with a zero budget for allocations. Our accounting software doesn't allow for negative entries in certain line items, for example, expense accounts. In order to address that, our accountants have to put that in the other income account. We'll explain it a little bit better once we go through the financial report, but that negative is actually not a budgeted negative. It's an accounting for the system kind of issue. We're certainly trying to find a way in our, as we start going through next calendar year to fix that presentation so that it doesn't appear as in that manner.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
That loss, you said 120,000.
In the Section 8 program, yes.
Does that bother you?
I'm sorry?
Does it bother you?
Well, it always bothers me.
Yeah.
Losses bother me at all times, but that is entirely because of the HUD cutbacks that we had at the beginning of last year to our Section 8 funding. They are forcing us to use our reserves, so it's not an unfunded loss. It's we certainly have the reserves to cover that. They're forcing us to do that right now. Obviously, I don't like losses at all, but it is kind of what the situation for that one is.
What is the reserve that we have left in that?
Right now, I think we have around $400,000 in our HAP reserve and another $300,000 in our admin reserve. So the two combined about $700,000.
And that money has nothing to do with other projects, correct?
No.
Development projects?
No, nothing else.
Okay.
But weren't we talking about using some of that for the proposal
Mhm.
on River?
We had, yes, we have an operating reserve for public housing as well. Remember, even last year, that program made over $1 million. I think the total reserves between the two programs we have is almost $2 million.
Oh, I see.
So I mean, that there is about $700,000 that belongs to the Section 8 program. The remaining $1.3 million belongs to the public housing program.
Gotcha.
Are there any other questions? Are there any questions on the list of bills?
Okay, staff reports.
As you all are aware, we had some pretty good news come out in the last week or two here. We got our approval from IDA that we did receive tax credits for our scattered site project with Brenshaw. We received roughly $840,000 in credits annually. So as the article I think that was posted presented, it's about $7 million total for the entire value of the project that those tax credits are worth. So that's a really big plus for the agency moving forward. We've kind of been in a holding pattern for that for a while, and it was kind of good to get that notification that we did receive those tax credits. We are already working with our developers. They've sent us a list of locations that they want to look at primarily for some of these properties. So us in the city starting to go through those. The developers, probably next step is to identify where all the units are going to be, and then the housing authority will have final say whether or not we agree or disagree with the unit selections that they made. Also, we did open our waiting list on the 15th. Everything has been going extraordinarily smoothly so far. Yes, sir.
Getting back to that, is there a way to contact some of the larger banks and see if they might have groups of property, so they're doing all that good
Absolutely.
stuff?
And I will double check with them just to make sure they do reach out to the local banks to see if there's some inventory there that makes sense for the project.
Not just local, but bigger. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay. I'm just curious, like how they're gonna get all these. That's always been my question. Is like how are they gonna secure all these properties? So
No problem.
I'm just curious.
It's a good idea though, because it helps out a lot more people if they're local banks. And they've got all those houses, right?
Well, yeah, but I know like Old Second, they don't have a ton, but I mean it's worth asking. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, certainly. Well, like I said, I'll get in touch with them just to make sure that that they do take that step to take a look at what inventory exists there.
Okay.
So
What'd you say about excuse me, what'd you say about Old Second?
I don't believe they have like
Clusters of homes?
clusters.
Okay.
Mr. Cruz?
does the city have a list of houses that need to be rehabbed, need to be helped out? I mean, do they have a list of properties that they're having issues with?
We have a list of properties that have been registered as vacant. Not all of those are necessarily, that could be, somebody who's just, who's paying their taxes and owns the house and just is kind of mothballing it, but we still require them to do a specific registration. So that's something we could certainly look at and share with them. And I know that the only other thing I have to contribute to the discussion so far is that I know that they are working with a local realtor in town here to be looking at some of the properties, and they're looking specifically at REO properties, which there is a listing for, but obviously there's a shadow inventory that banks own that they don't have on the market.
Also, if there are no other questions relative to that, we have, like I said before, we did open a waiting list on the 15th. That opening, though, and Maria can attest that I was extraordinarily nervous about opening the waiting list. That waiting list opening did go very smoothly. We didn't, one of the big problems that housing authorities have had recently, is more televised anyway, was that, that we've had, housing authorities with mobs of people in front of the front door the day we opened the waiting list. We haven't had that problem at all. It's been very kind of quiet, and we've done a 2-tiered opening of the waiting list. So right now it's open for download online, which as I can attest from our website analytics, our website became very popular on the 15th. It went from an average of about 30 to 40 hits a day. On that day, we had 1,500. So
Wow.
we became
That's
very
great.
popular on the 15th. So, but the good news is that each day after that, actually the number of people that went to the website went down. So it does state that a lot of people who need the assistance have already gotten it online. They've been able to fill out their applications quickly and get them back. But each day that number's gotten smaller. So it does appear that the approach that we took was an effective approach. On the 28th, we will begin to give out paper applications in the office. But considering the turnout that we've had online, I don't believe we'll see a large number of people in the office asking for applications. That process will be closing on November 15th, at which time we'll start to organize the lottery system, and then everybody will get placed on the waiting list at that point in time. Also, as you know, we are, and we always do. I don't want to give the impression that this is kind of a one-time event. We as an agency are kind of always looking for opportunities to creatively expand our housing. We still do have a responsibility to HUD to replace the units that we tore down in Jericho. And we have said as an agency we want to do that in a more scattered site and a more creative approach. So we are actively looking for redevelopment opportunities. We're always actively looking for opportunities to be creative in how we expand our portfolio. So the executive summary that we all received over the weekend that we will discuss a little bit later is certainly something that is not a one-off event. Like I said, we are always actively looking as we find opportunities that seem to make a little bit of sense for the agency. We'll bring those before the board for discussion and ultimately for approval or denial. Are there any questions for me? If not, Ms. Godinez.
Okay, you will see on this month's report a little bit more information, some of which the board has requested. You'll see the waiting list information, the applicants, as I mentioned the previous month, that was gonna go down considerably due to the purge of the waiting list. I've also included notice and information regarding referrals that we're doing to the attorneys. So these are referrals that have gone either due to rent situation or other lease violations, so those are included on there this month as well. And as well as the evictions that we had for this past month. And Mr. Gregory mentioned we did open the waiting list, and they have until the 15th to apply. We did have a small fire over at Maple Terrace. It was down to one unit. It wasn't a whole lot. The tenant needed to be placed in a hotel. They were back in by that Saturday. So the maintenance department handled switching out cabinets, all that. We did provide meals for this tenant as well while they were inconvenienced.
What was the cause of the fire?
Cause of the fire, Jen can probably give you more
I
details.
was afraid you were gonna ask that. One of our maintenance staff, they were actually, the grease shields, we usually glue them and stuff like that, and they had one of the older stoves, and the older stove actually has a standing pilot, so when he placed it down, it kinda went up in flames. Luckily, he wasn't hurt, and it was just mainly smoke damage, and even the cabinet was just kinda charred and stuff like that, so
Okay.
that was just,
Alright.
Well, Maria, what's the difference between the notices served and the attorney referrals?
The notices served, these are typically, and I'll have better numbers for you next month as well. And we've had property managers that are transitioning, so this is just a quick, what I had on file at the moment. Notices served, so typically when a tenant falls in default, either because it's rent or other lease violations, depending on the type of violation, they will receive either a 10, 14, or a 30-day notice. Based on that notice, they have either that 10, 14, or 30-day to cure. If they are unable to cure, then that's when we turn around, we gather paperwork and all of that, and it's sent off to the attorney. The attorney then files for eviction.
So it looks like that number has decreased, number of evictions and notices.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's been decreased tremendously.
It has. The other stuff that you have on there, you'll see site activities. We have all kinds of stuff going on. We already had our family move into Richard scattered site. We have completed, if I'm not mistaken, the upgrades over at Fox Hill, which included cabinets and some stuff in the bathrooms. We still have a few hours going on for community service over at Maple Terrace, and a few events going on at the different sites there, including one that the Ross program manager has recently partnered with ATMI Precast, and they are doing massive hiring. So they've actually come to us and said, hey, hand this out to your tenants, anyone who's interested, you know, we're willing to take them in.
It's good.
I think we should track that, and to the extent that there'll be a referral or a testimonial or whatever, that would I think that'd be huge for, if we, just monitor it, and then if we have success at the end of it, ask them to.
Kim is actually, for those people who are already on the Ross program, she's giving a personal letter of recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
As you can imagine, the minute someone hears about a job, everyone and relatives are going over, hey, I heard about this. So, we'll have to work with the company and see if they can keep track of that for us. Otherwise, Kim will be keeping track of the ones that she personally refers.
Yeah.
Did you say how that company found out about us?
I'm not sure.
Can we find out how they found out about us? Because we need to promote that a little bit more.
Other than that, we have Klein Sports, or Jack Klein from Alliance Sports, who's interested in doing a flag football program for the children, and you see a list of other events that have been held or will be held at the different sites. Any other questions?
I think there was somebody came last week and talked about, or the last meeting, about community service, or there was some kind of issue. Shrina Hill.
Community service is still going on. I mean, those participants who are in the Ross program, those people continue to get, just being on the Ross program actually qualifies them as community service hours, so that's still.
I thought she had like an issue with it or something, and I don't know, I can't remember what it was, but
I'll have to check the tape to be exact, but I believe her concern was what we did find that, and it's a HUD regulation that prevents some of the activities that we had initially intended for the people in the Maple Terrace Community Service Program. Some of the painting, some of the we wanted them to be able to do some more general work at the site. And HUD guidelines don't necessarily allow that. We did find that out, and we had to inform those residents. So I think she became informed when we informed the other residents that there are certain activities that they could no longer be a part of. So we just needed to find new activities for those residents to be engaged in.
okay.
Just going back to the Ross, and I'll volunteer if
Job's yours.
If you need help with the is we get people to go through the Ross, and then they get to the end of it, and I don't know how it all come together, but Wabansi has something, and that's where I say something because I don't know how it all works, but they have some sort of basically a skills certification, and it would be interesting to find out if like the Ross and the because the skills certification, the way I kind of understand it, is it's geared towards like a maybe someone's coming out and has a high school degree and is trying to, get into the workforce, and you can go and take different assessments and it says, oh, you're certified with these skills or these skills. It's not like training for like, you know, a certain trade or something like that. But it'd be interesting to find out if that we could do that so that, you know, that when the next ATMI opportunity comes up, if our tenants could say, hey, you know, I've got this, and it's great that they got a referral, you know, from HA, but that might be an additional thing they could come to the table with.
Absolutely. We started looking at it.
Okay. If you, you know, I've been in some meetings where I've heard it talked about, but if I'd spend some time on it if it's helpful.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Just curious about the waiting list and, you know, the internet access and the great response that we've received on the website. How many actual applicants? How many people actually filled out applications for the 3 and 5?
As of today, excuse me, approximately 150 applications have been turned in.
I think the bigger tell would be when we're at the end of the month-long period when we can really see really how many applications we get back. Because I think, you know, a lot of people, it takes them a little while to get all that information together.
One of the big issues that we've had, just to comment too, and we've tried to make sure people understand this isn't the Section 8 waiting list that's opening up, so we've posted it at the doors and whatnot, and Facebook, Twitter, make sure they understand it's not Section 8.
Well, usually once a month I get with the guys and we just kind of hash over things that, what's, you know, ideas as far as what we can do to better service our residents and stuff like that. Cause they're in the actual apartments, so they actually see a lot more than we do, you know, and they can actually anticipate certain problems that it's gonna arise. They actually in units where some of the units haven't been modernized, so we need to upgrade the cabinets and stuff like that. And then when they're out in the scattered sites and everything. So what we decided is that we're going to start assigning a maintenance guy to each site basically, which will it'll be better, I think, better communication with the resident and with the managers. They'll get more familiar with the maintenance guy, and they'll be able to kind of take ownership of their site. We actually have started changing out some cabinets in some of the units, and like Maria said, in some of our scattered sites, we're actually starting to do some of the upgrades as far as cabinetry and flooring and some painting. And our vacancies are naturally ongoing and stuff, and the guys have been working extremely hard. Plus, with these new scattered site housing upgrades and stuff like that, they've been working extremely well with the contractors and stuff. We just finished up the second one over on Richardson, 73 Richardson. Probably one of the nicest houses in the neighborhood. You know, the landscaping, the sidewalks, we seal coated the driveway, we did some patio work in the back, and we had to do a little bit of extension of floor work in the garage. There was a considerable foundation crack and stuff, so we accommodated that. We're actually now on our third house, and it's pretty similar to the very first one we did, where we pretty much gutted everything out and started from scratch. Only difference with this one is we had put new windows in probably about 3 or 4 years, so naturally we're not going to change those out, but everything else is pretty much new, putting in flooring and stuff. We're in the process right now. I think we've got the painting done, and we're starting on the flooring and stuff like that.
Jimmy,
Sure.
On that gut rehab or whatever we're calling it, total rehab, how many days does that take us to do?
It varies. It varies on the extent of the work and stuff like that. Each one is getting a little quicker because the first one we spent a lot of time deciding what we're going to use, and that's why we're kind of getting little kits together and stuff like that. So on the average now, this one actually, this third one that we're working on, and Carl's is doing a great job and stuff like that. I would say within probably 90 days we'll have this one completely done, ready to go. So we're hoping we started, because we kind of, it's hard to say when we start because once we're in the middle of, like say Richards, I start pulling guys off and they may not be there all day and stuff like that. So all in all, I would say no more than 90 days. And actually this one I'd probably even be 2 months, maybe 60 days on this one. Like I said, a lot has to do with the ordering, because now we got kind of a system going, which like I said, Carlos has been heading up really well, working with our inventory specialist. So we got kind of our vendors, so all we have to do is call up and they kind of know what's, you know, we just tell them what we need and they pretty much, it's within usually about 2 weeks span that we can actually order the cabinets and stuff and they'll be in. So, and also, Dan Pope, our lead maintenance tech, been very instrumental in this process too, because he's probably, being our lead man, he's probably one of my more skilled maintenance guys, so he's been doing a lot of the work, but also, you know, just assigning the other guys according to their skills so that we can get the process to keep going. Plus, you know, still able to maintain our sites and not neglect anything that's going on ongoing here, and any emergencies that come up. Over at Maple Terrace, contractors are working over on that fire unit on the second floor and stuff like that, and we're still waiting for the occupancy permit from the city right now. We have to do some upgrades because a lot of that stuff that was grandfathered in before, now we have to change the electrical and some of the other stuff, so it's a little bit of a process. But in the meantime, the other side, the guys are turnaround units, so this way, once we do get the occupancy for the other side, we should be pretty much ready to house that other wing. And we also did get 3 new trucks, those transit trucks and stuff, and the guys seem to be using it. They actually let me use it today, trucks around and stuff like that. They're really nice, they're really handy, you know, very fuel efficient. They have ladder racks on everything. It just seems to accommodate well.
Questions?
If there are no questions, if you guys want to take a break so we can get set up for the presentation for the training. So we did get meals for everybody so we can have a little food while we eat. I don't expect the training to take too long, but we just, you know, for the course, I think it's about a 20-minute if you guys don't have any questions, but I expect that you'll have some questions. So.
So you're gonna skip B and go right into C?
Oh, I apologize. I totally did that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Keep him on task, Henry.
Way to go, Chairman. Don't cut him any slack.
No, I apologize. I did not mean to. I got ahead of myself. I'm really proud of my presentation. That's all. So as everybody received, I believe on either Friday or Saturday, we did send out an executive summary on a proposed project at
Actually, hold on a second. Point of order, Mr. Chairman, if we're talking about real estate, do we not have to go into executive session?
We're not buying anything.
If you're even discussing it?
I don't know.
You do.
Do we?
If you're talking about real
we
estate.
have the option to, yeah.
Yeah, you have to go into executive session.
Okay. May I have a motion?
Make a motion, we go into executive session?
Second.
Second. Roll call. Yay?
Henry Champion,
Yay?
Maddie Cole,
Yes.
Ray Cruz,
Yes.
Dave Richard,
Yes.
Scott Morris.
Yes.
Thank you, Ray.
Yep, you're welcome.
Anything you need me for? I'm probably not gonna wait around to do the tablet training.
Yeah. Move faster.
What's that?
So we move faster. What realtor is working with those guys from Bradshaw? Opportunities.
I know.
Hector sucks, give him some competition.
So I can't.
I know we thought of that, we talked about it, obviously.
That's a little, yeah, no, that's
Sorry,
a small conflict of interest, though.
I know, just,
I vote for all scattered site developments that we can possibly.
no. I thought we were sort of like, I don't know the kitchen,
I mean, I'm sure it's technically okay, but it's not probably like, yeah. There would be a drop. So, no, I was just curious who's doing Well, he's got that guy in his office too that does a lot of REO, so that would be good for him too, and he's really good at it.
Supervisor Estates.
Larry Shetz, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he does a ton of like Fannie and Freddie stuff. Yeah, you're good. But yeah, so that's,
Some madness.
Alright.
okay, see you.
Get out. I'm leaving. Enjoy your dinner, everything.
What kind of sandwich you
What are the choices?
make? Turkey, I think is out there.
Italian,
And we have some,
ham turkey or Italian.
I'll take Italian.
I bought some. I think they just need to be warmed up. I will share it, no problem.
ham and cheese, turkey.
How about you, Dave?
Smoked
Yeah,
turkey,
what do we got?
Italian
Turkey.
combo.
Italian
I'm
combo,
good
that's
right
what
now.
it is.
Thank you. I understand why we have to go into executive session for real estate, right? We don't want somebody to go out in public and they start out bidding on something.
Italian.
Say that again. Oh, right. No, that makes sense.
Not that this will happen with this, but
That's the one with bacon, I want that one.
I left the bacon for you.
Oh, wait, you didn't tell me there was one with bacon in it.
hey, if you don't want your cookie, I'll take your cookie, okay? Look at him, look for the cookie.
Wait a second, there's a cookie in here?
I don't know. There's usually one at the bottom.
Don't give Mr. Cruz any cookies, but
Oatmeal raisin, baby, that's my favorite. November 3rd. Oh, there it is. Oatmeal raisin.
chocolate chip, otherwise I
No,
would've
no.
given it to you.
Sorry.
There's no problem.
Do we have to make a motion to go into it?
We're in,
I think
We're in.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that, guys. Just as a FYI, if we're talking about real estate and it's like a bidding deal, or it's like we're competing against somebody else, so somebody in here, not that anybody would in this project, somebody in here could hear that we want this building, and then be outbidding us and make